processes in place to try to test to that level. We have the funds allocated, and obviously you've shown here if you've found 45 positives, that's got to be a positive to separate that in quarantine so that they don't infect others. So we're doing some good there.
Thank you.
Was that number 45? I heard another number, but I hearing sometimes.
47.
47. Okay, I apologize.
That's why I had 27 down. I didn't hear right, so thank you.
47 out of 698 tests. That's what I heard.
47 positives, 651 negatives.
Okay, again, thank you very much for the three of you being here. If there's no more questions on COVID, we'll proceed with our agenda. Next item on the agenda is public comment on items not on the agenda. Is there anyone in the outside waiting to visit with the commission today about items not on the agenda? We're looking for that. See if there is. Okay, seeing that there's no one to speak on items not on the agenda, we'll move on to determine additions or revisions to the agenda. I know of one addition under the consent agenda, under bills and payments. We also have a payment this week of $866,847.79, which is our distribution to our educational groups as they do certain things regarding COVID. So we'd like to add that to the consent agenda. I have no other items. Commissioner Hurst, do you have items to change?
I have none.
County Administrator, do you have items that you would like to add?
No.
Okay, if not, I would make a motion that we include the items that I just indicated, the payments to the educational groups within Reno County for the CRF sub-reciprocants. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Sellers?
Yes. Okay, we will take up the consent agenda, which involves normal vouchers for the week of $325,737.79. Additional CRF vouchers of $866,847.79. Two letters of, I'll list those individually. Public transportation letter of verification for matching funds, which the chairman needs to sign for the transportation department, and the second letter is a letter of authority for authorizing her signature as an authorized signature for the agency. Is there a motion to approve these items? We do have Barbara Lillyhorn here if there's any question as far as those two letters.
I have no questions. I would move to approve the consent agenda as provided by staff with the addition of item D, the CRF funding.
Thank you. I would second that. Barbara, thank you for attending, but I think we understand the letters, and so after the meeting I will sign those two letters and have staff get those to you. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hurst?
Yes.
Commissioner Sellers?
Yes. Moving right on, we have the district attorney with us today, Thomas Stanton, and he wants to notify us about something that's coming up that is an important project.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. For the last this will be our 20th year coming to you and getting your approval to do our Toys for Tots drive. This started out my very first year here. I went to a meeting where Toys for Tots was presenting. brought a box back to the district attorney's office, and we've been having an annual Toys for Tots drive ever since. It's going to be a little different this year, I'm sure, and we will make sure that everything we do protects the public, but does allow members of the community and members of county staff to, if they wish, bring a toy for children. I think there's going to be a need, maybe more than normal this year. Families are struggling. So we would like to have the commission okay our drive, which would be from December 15th to December 18th. It's a Tuesday through a Friday. And we will probably use not only fifth floor, but maybe some space down here on first floor to collect those toys. So I would ask that you would give us your approval to move forward with our 20th annual Toys for Tots drive.
Tom, would you tell us a little bit about the success that this has had in the past? And I guess I'd like to know as much as you'd like to share about the successes that you've had in the history of this.
It's been very successful over the years. You know, we started out with just a box, and then it went to 2 boxes, and then we moved to the 5th floor, and we got to the point before we opened the annex that we were filling at least 10 boxes of toys usually every year. Plus we have a great big tree that we put hats and mittens and gloves and scarves on. And we have been very successful. We received several awards from the Toys for Tots for our drives, and it's one of the ways that we as a district attorney's office can reach out to the community. You know, there's a lot of stress in our office just because of the type of work that we do, and being able to connect with other departments and people in the community to provide toys for children has been a real pleasure. What we normally do is we offer wrapped cookies in exchange for a toy. You know, sugar cookies that are decorated, and some punch. We're seeing how we can do that safely this year. But we have, over the years, I don't know how many boxes. I would estimate that we have filled more than 100 boxes of toys in that 20 years, easily. Even after the annex. One of the fun things we used to do when everybody was here, if you remember, we would bring in high school choirs, and they would sing from the 2nd floor mezzanine and fill this entire courthouse with beautiful Christmas music every year. We haven't been able to do that since the annex, so it's not as festive as it has been in the past. But since it's the 20th anniversary, we're going to do everything we can to make sure it gets advertised and that people have a chance to participate. And we'll have a few different ideas on collecting the toys this year. So, how
do you decide the distribution process?
The toys go to the Salvation Army. The Toys for Tots organization through Salvation Army comes and picks those up. They'll pick them up on the 18th.
Okay. And
then there's a distribution date, and all of those toys stay within Reno County.
Okay.
So it's really a great opportunity for members of the community as well as county staff to give a little at Christmas.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve?
I've got a question yet.
Sure.
I don't have any trouble making that motion at all. It's a great program. Do you have, since this year's a little different, will you have boxes at different departments so the people can do that, like Public Works and
over the last couple of years, we've had one over at the annex, and we've had participation from some of the departments at the annex. So we'll do that again. And that's a great idea, though, to maybe put one down in Public Works and some of the other departments that are off-site, and see if they'll participate. And we've got a couple other ideas that might help bring in some toys. But we like to advertise this before we used to say before Black Friday because everybody's out shopping. But I'm not sure what's going to happen the day after Thanksgiving this year. I don't know if people are going to be out shopping or if they're all going to be sitting around just eating turkey. I don't know what people are going to be doing, but getting word out, and we'll, if approved, we'll send something out today to the county employees about this. And the county employees have really always responded really well. They've participated in this. might have something to try to get a competition between the police department and the sheriff's office, some of those types of things.
Good. Would you make that motion?
I would make the
Commissioner Hurst?
motion to approve a district attorney's 2020 Toys for Tots 20th anniversary.
Okay, I second that motion. Any further discussion? Now, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hurst.
Yes.
Commissioner Sellers.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much for handling this. I think it's all of these drives are important at Christmas time, and as Mr. Stanton said, I think particularly this year it's going to be even more important to help those people that are in need in the community. So I'm very pleased that his office is heading this up. Next item is to bid award for courthouse improvement projects. Harlan, would you like to present this? I think you have some people with you.
I would. Harlan Depew, Maintenance and Purchasing Director. Yes, today we are happy to present bids from these courthouse projects that we've been working on for several years. The bid package covers 4 scopes of work. One would be to repair the earthquake damage to the exterior of the building, including reinforcement of the roof truss system to meet current building codes. Number 2 is the interior plaster repairs and painting associated with that, also from the earthquake damage. The third scope is general exterior tuck pointing and weatherization, and the final portion would be restoration of all of the windows in the building. The first 2 scopes are part of our insurance claim and should be reimbursed, and the final 3 and 4 would be funded through county sources. And we did get formal approval yesterday from the Kansas State Historical Society on the tax credits, and so those final 2 scopes will qualify for that once they're completed at 25% reimbursement in the form of income tax credits from the state. The bids also contained 2 alternates. One was some minor maintenance on the front steps, along with replacing the handrails out there. That particular alternate, we would recommend that we take care of that in-house, and we can do that for a lot less money than what was bid on this project. And then the second alternate was to upgrade to low E glass in the windows. I will ask Mike Seiwert from GLMV to speak a little bit about that here in a minute, to give you a little bit more information and some pros and cons of doing that. The process that we used on this was influenced by the State Historic Preservation Office in terms of their recommendation was to go through a pre-approval process for all the contractors to make sure that they met the requirements and had extensive experience doing historic restoration work. So we did that. We had 4 general contractors that met those qualifications, and bid packages were sent out to those 4 contractors. Out of those 4, we ended up with 2 bids, one from Law Company, and the base bid for them was $3,708,750. And then Pishney Restoration Services was $3,089,740. Those bids came in. The base bids came in Pishney's bid came in a little bit below what the architect's estimate was. If we were to add the alternates, it comes in almost right on the money. But So we were real pleased with that. Another thing that we're happy about is that the low bidder was, they do have an extensive record and history of doing some pretty impressive historic restoration projects. I've been very pleased with their knowledge and expertise in that area. They also intend to self-perform all of the work with their own employees, which I think is fantastic. The other higher bidder would have contracted all of it out. So the other two that ended up not actually bidding were intended to do a split. Some work they would self-perform, some they would contract out. But our low bidder will do all of the work with their own employees. So overall, some of the projects, the windows came in a little higher than what the estimate was, but the weatherization came in lower, and so it all averaged out and came out right a little bit under budget. Mike, would you mind speaking a little bit about
Arlen, or he can, but the plaster part of this, that includes the painting? Is that a
Yes, sir.
plaster slash painting? Okay.
Yes, sir.
A question there, and either one of you can answer. At one of our previous meetings, we talked about having the architect's interior designer maybe do some color stuff. Have you received a color palette?
Not at this time, but I think Christie's working on that. Is that correct? Or
Yes, we were pretty much waiting for the bids to come in and see who we were going to be.
Sure, please. Mike, welcome.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners. Mike Seibert, GL&B Architects. We were waiting for the bids to come in and work with the specific contractor who the bid would be awarded to, and then work with people here in the county on getting a color selection nailed down and see what we want to do. So that is forthcoming.
Okay.
Makes no difference on the price.
Mm-hmm. Do you agree with me, Mike? You're a professional and I'm just a person. But don't you agree if we use some kind of current colors during this process that we can kind of make the courthouse be a little more up to date?
Up to date, that's a good choice of words. Yes, you can find a good balance between up to date and still be historically significant, I guess.
Okay.
Might be a good way to describe that.
Okay, looking forward to seeing those. You want to talk to us about windows?
Sure. The glass was the alternate. I believe it was about $39,000 for a hard coat, low E glass throughout all the windows. We ran the numbers on that. It was about a 26-year payback for that amount of money that you would be spending. You'd realize a little bit of energy savings. On the other hand, the wearability of a single glazed pane of glass with a hard coat, low E on the interior, it might not wear too well. People are going to be putting things up against the window on a windowsill, and that coat is susceptible to being scratched. It's just one of the drawbacks. We tried to get a double pane window or a double pane glass inside the frame, but it just wouldn't fit. So we did have to go with just a single pane. So it'd be your choice.
Is there any advantages of the E-glass other than the long-term energy saving?
None at all.
The looks is virtually the same from exterior.
The look is virtually the same.
Okay,
The low E is slightly tinted, but it's still within the
limits
of what the Historic Preservation Office would accept.
Okay, is there any, like when the sun's in the west, let's say, going on the west windows of the courthouse, by going the E direction, would the people in that room be more comfortable? Is there a transmission effect?
Yes, that's the primary advantage of a low E glass, is that that radiation form of heat gain would be reduced. On the other hand, in the base bid, we do have new shades going in that will help significantly. In the winter, you're going to welcome that sunshine on the west side when it's 20 degrees out. Of course, not in the summer, you just pull the shades. So I think we've addressed the situation to allow a little bit better flexibility
Without the e-glass.
without the e-glass.
So your recommendation is not to do the e-glass?
That would be true.
Okay. Tell me a little bit. I think I know, but just for anybody listening today, we're spending a lot of money on windows. The process is what? Take the existing frames out, put something in the window temporarily, rework that frame and repaint it and so forth, put in new glass, put the frame back in. Is that
A little bit of terminology. The frame is the outside that's attached to the masonry. That would stay in place. The sash, on these windows, the sash opens up. That is removable, and that portion would be taken back to the shop, refurbished in the shop, reglazed in the shop, and then brought back out and reinstalled. The frame would stay in place and be refurbished, repainted in place.
in place?
And yeah, there would be a piece of plywood over that window while all this is going on.
And the process for repainting that metal that stays in place, you're comfortable as a long-term satisfactory process?
Yes, absolutely. It's an expensive paint, so it's a 50-year paint at least.
Good.
So you're not seeing rust on the
No,
metal that's going to stay with the structure?
yeah, they'll strip all the metal down to bare metal, prime it twice, and put 2 finish coats on it. So it's a durable and significant paint job. And Pishney has used this before on many historic buildings, had great success. I'm very confident that this will be a good process.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the contractor that's the low bidder that Harlan was saying that he's pleased with? It sounds like they have expertise in this type of work.
Yes, I've worked with them before on historic projects. In fact, they were a consultant of mine for this project to make sure we had the right approach for this particular building, this situation, both with the stone, the masonry, the earthquake reinforcement, the waterproofing, and the weatherization. So they were very familiar with, throughout the design process, of putting together a bid package. So all our bases, I'm confident, will be covered with Pishney as the awarded contractor.
I was interested in hearing your comments and payback and so forth with regard to low E, because I think low E, and correct me if I'm wrong, but low E is primarily on sun's rays. And we have a lot of windows on the east and the north in the courthouse that really wouldn't be affected by low E. Is that what I'm understanding?
that
my
is true.
thoughts anyway.
Low E is most effective, and I love low E when it's double pane glass and the low E coating is on the interior side.
That's what I'm used to.
Yeah, I use it all the time. It's not very effective on a single glass situation,
Okay.
and it wouldn't be effective at all on the north side. Not so much on the east side either.
Yeah, but I'm glad to hear the definition and the description of that, because these windows and so forth have needed work for a long time, and I just want to make everybody aware of that if you're in the upstairs where that wind comes, that there's some additional heating needed, shall we say?
Gaps. Mhm.
So
Yeah, I might also add that the windows will be sealed shut. They're operable, but they will be sealed shut. They can be unsealed if that choice is made down the road by another group. And that's okay with the historic people. But drafts coming in through the window won't be a problem anymore.
that should certainly help on our
Yes,
HVAC units.
yes.
So you expect some, with the sealing of drafts and so forth, that you're expecting some heating savings in the future due to this project?
Absolutely, yes. There were situations where, especially the bottom piece of metal on the operable portion of the window, that bottom piece of metal, it catches all the condensation that drips down on the inside, and it rusts out and it warps.
Mm-hmm.
And Harlan's had, they've done a great job trying to keep the draft out, but that metal on a lot of locations is just rusted and warped, and it just can't be fixed anymore.
So if we're not planning on using the windows open, what, due to the historic deal, you need to leave that opening there?
Yes, is the short answer.
That's good enough. I don't need a long answer, do you?
Okay, well, I'm glad this came in under budget, slightly. Something that needs to be done, and certainly we're receiving some insurance money on part of it, and so I'm all for getting with it. Do you feel like they'll need the full year to complete the project?
We thought we'd get started here this fall, and already it's October and we got ice and snow, so everybody has to hedge their time on
So
construction.
you see this starting in the spring?
Yes.
They'll get their materials lined up ahead of time.
They'll start ordering materials, start lining up work schedules, but I was hoping the masonry and especially the dome could get started now, but it'd be pretty risky.
Now, in your contract, is there a set number, I'm sorry, I didn't follow all through it, set number of days to do this, like in a construction project, and with days off for inclement weather and so forth, and then any reimbursement to the county should they not finish by a certain date?
Interestingly enough, and that's a good question, both contractors that submitted bids had 365 days for the project. So we're confident that that was a pretty good estimate of how long it will take. Harlan and I talked about consequential damages or along those lines if they go over. Didn't think that would be a good idea. Many times that leads to a rushed job at the end of the time. Workmanship has a chance of getting a little bit shoddy.
Here's my thought on that. If it was just a straight construction job, I would say, well, we'd want one in. But anytime you get into restoration and renovation, one doesn't know what one's going to come into.
That's real
And
true.
so I wouldn't want to extend 450 days or 900 days, but I think you have confidence in your contractor, sounds like to me.
Yes, I do.
Okay, are you prepared to make a motion to
Yes,
approve this,
I
Commissioner Hurst?
would move that the commission, the county, award the bid for the courthouse improvement projects as submitted of, without the two alternate bids. Have number down to $3,089,740. That's without the alternate one also, isn't it?
Mhm.
Both alternates.
I believe
Correct.
Yeah,
that number's-
you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. By Pishney Restoration Services.
Okay, I will second that. I do have one question, and I think I kind of know the answer, but Randy, would you explain how these tax credits work?
So the tax credits would be for after the project's done, we'll get the certification, they'll send it to us, and then we can sell those tax credits to local banks or financial institutions, or they'll get the tax credit. We technically don't benefit from the tax credit, but a local financial institution will.
I've been involved with those tax credits before. What's the percentage on those tax credits?
25%.
How much?
25.
25? Okay.
So do we sell it to the business at something less than 25% value? Is that, I'm still a little confused on why the bank wants to buy a 25% tax credit. I know what they'd use the credit for, but what are they willing to pay for that credit?
I believe it's just that value. I mean, it just for their taxes, as you know, that the value, that 25% is
Basically a premium type.
it's a premium, and different banks or different financial institutions may be more willing to do that than others. So we would send out a letter of intent or request to see what institutions are interested in purchasing those.
I would say that could be almost, you start on that now, don't you? Or make it known.
Yeah,
Let them know about
certainly
it.
could. We don't get the tax credits until the project is complete, but
Be next year, but nonetheless, need to know about it. Because sometimes there's other tax credits coming out that are even more of a discount or premium, whichever way you call it. They'll be in competition.
Yeah. And this may be 2022 before we're actually
Yeah,
sending it out doing this.
that's right. It's the end of this year now.
Yeah.
And when would you, you've been talking about putting together this bond for this. When would you be thinking about issuing that bond?
Right now, we're kind of waiting in my conversations with the financial advisor and the bond counsel is we're waiting to see on the other projects, the landfill project, if we can put it all in one bond, even though they have different sources of revenue, sources of payment. And so those two projects, see if we can do that.
Together.
It'll probably be in early 2021 when we're starting to talk a little more, but we may do temp notes to cover that, the payments, until we are closer to finish of the project.
Will there be payments due as a certain percentage of the project is completed and then maybe an upfront to start with, or is it just based on percentage completion of each area?
It's based on percentage of completion. So, yeah, the
At
contractor will
25%.
submit applications for payment 30 days after he starts.
So
And
how,
I should add, if he starts ordering materials before
Yeah,
he starts, he'll order materials, say, in December.
he'll submit those?
He might not get on the job site till February or March, but
Sure.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, but when will we know on the solid waste or facility?
The solid waste, or the landfill project, will be going out to bid, I think in early November, with December 7th, I believe is the date for those to be brought in, and the end of December, early January is when they'll be brought back to the commission. At that point, we'll know that total cost and have more information to tie it with the bond.
Will we need to use temp notes in the meantime, should we get some expenses with regard to the restoration? Or?
We also have, for the rest of this restoration, we have cash. We have a separate fund that's been created that can go into the negative because we have cash and other funds to cover it until we have the financing in place.
Okay.
So we'll be okay. But we do have the cash to cover this until the bonds are issued.
Okay, but, and I think your timetable's positive, but due to the fact that bonds are almost at an all-time low, we need to, after we know the numbers, to get these issued ASAP. Would that be your thoughts?
Now's the perfect time, yes.
Yeah.
Now's the best time to get bonds for the rates. We don't know in a month, 2 months if they're gonna go up, so you are correct. Now's a good time to get the bonds if we can do that.
Okay. Okay, I think we have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions?
I had just a couple
Harlan?
other little comments. One was, the last I spoke with the contractor, he was thinking that they may get started pretty quickly on interior work in certain areas where, not underneath that dome, where that's going to be taking more major work is going to be taking place. But it is possible that they could start on interior plaster and maybe even windows this winter. So that just so you're aware of that. Once we get this formally awarded and they have a chance to look at timelines and their other workloads and all that, that will become finalized, but that is a possibility. And then the other thing I was going to suggest was I just received the contract, or the draft of the contract with Pishney the end of last week. It's 81 pages long, so I haven't had a chance to completely go through it, but I might suggest that you would authorize the county administrator to sign that contract once we reviewed it and county council has had a chance to review that as well.
Is that part of your motion?
Yes,
Okay.
if it's needed.
Okay.
Just to work.
And you're comfortable with plaster work being done before the refurbishing of the dome?
I think I would leave that up to the contractor and the architect to make that determination, but I
Okay.
know the contractor, I believe, was confident they could find plenty of work to do that would not be impacted directly by that area.
Okay. Okay.
In case we
Great.
get another 4.0,
Yeah,
I think
I
what
just-
you were worried about.
Seems like we don't want to fix that area until you've got your dome secured. Okay. You'll take care of that. I think we're ready to call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes?
Commissioner Sellers,
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for being here. Was the roads terrible today?
They were icy but not slick, if you can kind of envision that.
Okay.
It was
Well,
crunchy ice.
be careful going back.
Yeah,
Not
especially
for a
with,
while till it comes to rises.
especially with a bad wing there.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Harlan. Always, when you come to us, your projects are well thought out, and you do a good job presenting items to buildings and grounds. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have a grant funding awards of the CDBG-CV by Randy Partington. Would you cover this item, please?
Okay, thank you. This is the Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus funding. If you remember, back in May, the County Commission applied for funding with the state of Kansas. We received $132,000. $12,000 of that is for the grant administrator. $120,000 is for small businesses who qualify with the low to moderate income guidelines. Since we opened that up in June, but in that time we had 18 businesses that applied, and 11 of them did not qualify. They were either inside the city limits of Hutchinson, or they did not meet the low to moderate income guidelines. Since the part about being inside the city of Hutchinson, since the city of Hutch also had a CDBG CV grant, ours had to be for the rest of Reno County. So we had 7 small businesses that did qualify. They brought in their invoices, their tax information, and SCED, who is our grant administrator, looked at those and approved that they did meet the qualifications. So a committee of Greg Benz, Greg Gordon, Commissioner Hurst, and myself met a couple weeks ago to look at the applications, and the entities that had incurred expenses. This is for incurred expenses only is M&J Enterprise LLC, M&N Watertight Metal Roofing LLC, MCRS Construction Company LLC, Ray Cycle Incorporated, Rhythmic Restoration, The Pizza Connection, and Trails West Motel. There's a summary that was in the packet that shows the incurred expenses. The maximum amount of funding for a business with 1 to 5 employees was $30,000. A business 6 to 50 employees could get up to $50,000. So there were 2 companies that had incurred expenses above the maximum amount. Those are M&N Watertight Metal Roofing and Ray Cycle. The committee met and looked at, instead of giving them the full $50,000 and $25,000 maximum between the two because of the sizes, of cutting that by $5,000 each. So the intent of that was to keep $11,067 in the bank for the CDBG in case there are other businesses that were missed or that just find out about this funding source after today's meeting. We can come back. We don't have to spend the money till June of next year. So there is some time to see if there are other businesses that would qualify. The recommended grant awards would be $7,123.38 to M&J Enterprise, $45,000 to M&N Watertight Metal Roofing, $12,335.21 to MCRS Construction, $25,000 to Ray Cycle, $3,552.97 to Rhythmic Restoration, $4,147.99 to The Pizza Connection, and $11,773.31 to Trails West Motel, for a total of $108,932.86. If this is approved, we will send this to the state of Kansas for approval. It may take 7 to 14 days for them to respond, and then they'll send us the money, and then we will send out the money to these businesses. So even if it's approved today, the businesses will not get the money right away. It does take time to process.
On your document that's in our packet, you have these businesses listed, and then on that document it says item 2, meals program. What's that referring to?
That was a different part of the CDBG CV for entities that provided meals to people impacted by COVID. Reno County did not qualify for that portion of the grant.
I see. So that's their document that you're using.
Yes.
Okay. And then what about the item 3, the administration? That document. Is that what we paying SCED to help us?
That's SCED's cost to administer the grant.
Okay. Commissioner Hurst, are you pleased with these? You were in the meeting and helped decide on these numbers. Are you recommending that we proceed?
Yes, I am. Like the idea of keeping some back, just for those that may not have heard about it, even though it was posted in the Hutch Post and the Hutch News, social media, the chamber assisted in getting that word out. And I visited several businesses, and even since that, because there was a couple of suggestions on businesses to meet, and they didn't qualify because they'd taken some funds from elsewhere. And also we had the LMI restriction on there too, that 51% had to be LMI and low to moderate income. So yes, I am, especially with the fact that we can reserve some back, and we have a long time to disperse those $11,000.
Okay.
I would make the motion to approve the CDB grant funding awards as presented.
Okay, I would second that. Any other conversation? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hurst,
Yes.
Commissioner Sellers,
Yes. Randy, would you make sure that the private citizens that helped you on this committee are, we provide them a letter of thank you for their time, and you don't feel that they'll be called back for any reason?
Not right away. If we get more grant applications, we can call that committee back together, or if we don't receive any applications, the remaining 10,000 that was cut could be given to a couple of these businesses that are still on here. So there may be one more meeting, but it'll be months away.
Okay, while you're standing up there, would you like to continue with your administrator report for today?
Okay. Wanted to let you know, yesterday Brenda sent out the sales tax receipts for that we received for August generation, but it was obviously for October. It came in at $428,350.46, which is higher than previous years. Right now, Leslie sent another email looking at the numbers. Year-to-date 2020 versus 2019, we are 101.03%, so we are above last year's rate. So sales tax are still coming in very, very good.
Okay, are any thoughts of 101% might show that certainly sales taxes are strong, but with price increases from last year to this year, it might suggest that total sales are down slightly. Does that make sense to you?
Right. The prices, I mean,
assuming that prices have gone up more than 1% on a automobile or lawnmower or something of that nature, would suggest that total items might be down.
I look at it with a different way. I think that with more people eating at home, that grocery prices have grocery sales have gone up, but yet it costs less to eat at home ordinarily than it does at a restaurant. So there may be a little offsetting in
Could
that.
be.
But big ticket
Good
items
point.
have been a big add. That you're right.
Mm-hmm. No, I think your point's well made.
it's definitely good news, though.
Yeah,
Because we
yes.
expected a loss with COVID. So
Yes.
to be above previous years is really good news for us internally.
Especially considering 2019 was a really good year for the county regarding sales tax revenue
Right.
compared to other years.
Another item, just to mention, I'll be working with Megan at the landfill, try to set up, and with the commission to set up a work session in the next couple of weeks, whether it's next week, might look at Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or Monday or Wednesday, probably not election day, Monday or Wednesday, to see what everyone's availabilities are, and then if we might see if the Republican Party tonight recommends putting a third commissioner on to make sure that person is included in this and is available. The work session would be to talk about the fee schedule for the landfill and then some agenda software from Granicus. There may be one or two other items that we add. Probably would take about an hour to hour and a half meeting. Is there a day of the week that works better for the commission? I was looking at maybe a Monday afternoon or a Tuesday afternoon following the commission meeting, or Wednesday, anytime of next week.
So you're looking at November 2nd, or Monday the 2nd,
Or the 4th.
or the 4th. Either one's fine with me. Mr. Sellers?
Monday afternoon would work for me. Monday morning's not very good. And Wednesday looks okay.
Okay, I'll check.
Can
Both
you
those
get
days.
that information to us ahead of time so that we can
Yes.
digest it a little bit, sleep on it overnight? Because you're
Yes.
asking for a method of charging in the future, correct?
We're going to have that discussion. It's no action will be taken.
I understand that.
But it is just a discussion. But I will
Okay.
send out background information before the meeting. And that would be an meeting open to the public, but not streamed live. The other item I was just going to remind.
Could, thinking about the Republican meeting tonight where Daniel might be recommended to the governor to join the commission now instead of when his term begins in January. Could we think about the process, but I'd like to send a letter or some type of communication to the governor to ask her to act on this ASAP. I think that's appropriate. I don't know what amount of time she has, but it's in the county's best interest to have 3 commissioners seated. So
We can reach out to.
you might think about that and reach out to the governor's office in some way to ask for a quick response on that.
Okay, we can do that.
Did we decide whether, or you're gonna let us know whether it's Monday afternoon or Wednesday?
Yes, I will. Yes, I'm going to check
Okay.
Megan's availability and then I'll check. Assuming
All right.
tonight's what happens, I'll check
Okay.
the incoming commissioner's availability. And then just the only other thing I had, just a reminder that the director for the health department interviews are this Friday, and so we'll go through that process and bring back some information, a recommendation to you guys next week or the week after. So, that's all I have.
Okay, Commissioner Hurst, do you have items this morning?
Just one thing, the KAC has, I just got an email, maybe you did too, that they're posted theirs annual meeting recording. It's available on the Kansas Association of Counties site. And also last Thursday, I attended a Zoom meeting with SCED, and really starting to pay off with all the changes and transitions done down there at SCED, that they've done a lot more loan requests and actions, as well as the grant portion, and then the weatherization still heading forward with all the restrictions that can be had. And so it looks very positive for the bottom line at SCED now. So just that's the updates I have.
Okay, thank you. I believe the only thing that I have this morning is that our county clerk is here, and she advises that we're doing well on advanced voting, both via mail and in person, and I think that that's excellent that people are interested enough to come out early and get that done. And I hope we have a huge turnout in Reno County for the vote. It's important to vote and to express your thoughts on future government. So I encourage everybody that hasn't voted up until next Tuesday to come out on Tuesday and vote. I believe that's all I have this morning. Anything else? Joe, do you have anything? Okay. If not, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.